Welcome back to Manor Lords. In the previous episode, we transformed Earlhart into the breadbasket of the realm, a region where we now produce all of the grain our little kingdom could ever need. And today, we're turning our attention to Altbruch. But instead of bread, we're going all in on sausages, because everyone deserves a balanced diet. To make that happen, we're gonna have to establish a new salt mine. Then, we'll unlock deep mining so we never run out of salt. And finally, we'll start farming pigs. Lots of pigs. From there, we'll set up butchers and get to distributing sausages throughout the entire realm. And since this region will focus on animal husbandry, we'll also raise sheep, since we can slaughter them for even more meat. And somewhere along the way, we'll also build a manor, because the raiders will show up again. And once we've got Altbruch fully established, we'll finally be ready to urbanize Leuter Flucht. But before we get to all of that, we have to take the region from Hildebolt. Yes, he still controls it, but I don't think it's going to be all that hard to snatch it from him. We've also got a few refinements to make in Earlhart based on your feedback. Refinements that will supercharge its efficiency. And if you're excited to finally kick Hildebolt out for good and move towards a more peaceful existence, hit the like button. And if you're more excited to cram as many people into Leuter Flucht as we can in the next episode, hit the like button for that too, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Or just leave an emoji representing sausage for the sake of engagement. And without further ado, let's jump right in. The time has finally come to take the final region, Altbruch, from Hildebolt. This should be a walk in the park, or at least I believe it will be. We just have to rally our troops, declare war, and basically walk right in there. We have a ton of troops available to us right now. We've got 3 retinues, a whole bunch of archers, and we can hire every mercenary in the land because we have all of the money. So we're gonna do that, but before we do that, I see that our retinue here in Lineik is not at full capacity. So we'll load them up real quick and then grab all of our troops and bring them to the border. Again, I want to hire all of the mercenaries and we'll bring all of them to the border as well. It's going to take a little while for all of the troops to organize themselves at the border. And while that's happening, I want to head back over to Earlhart. Now, one of the things that I didn't realize you could do in the game was assign a specific burgage plot to a specific workplace. This is the most common thing I saw in the comments for the previous video was make sure that you make this modification. To do that, all we have to do is go to a workplace. We'll remove all of the families that are being summoned to this place. And then we'll select a specific burgage plot. Now I'm going to pin this temporarily because there are 2 families that reside here. And I can now select this button right here, which reassigns a family to a different workplace. That allows me to select the workplace that I'm assigning them to. And now you can see that we have 1 family working here. I can do that with both families. And now these families will work across the street rather than across the map. So that should increase our efficiency and thus our yields. So I'm going to go through this entire region and reassign families to the closest workplace available to them. And after setting the assignments, basically everything on the plateau is completely staffed. Everything down here is staffed as well. Things on the periphery don't have any workers or any families living there. So we'll have to come back here at the end of the episode and assign more families. And now we're at a point where we can claim this land and ultimately have war declared upon us. And yes, we will press our claim towards this region. And indeed, the gauntlet has been thrown. I'm going to take these brigands and bring them right down here. And then I want to take everyone else and line them up right here. And the battle has begun as we've entered their lands. And you can see they are sticking back, but they are running towards us. I'm going to stop right here, and I think I might use the brigands to chase around their archers. So I'll send them into the woods, and then they're coming right up to us. I'm going to slow down for a moment because I'm going to pull the brigands back, and I'm going to make sure that all of our forces here are set to stand your ground. We'll take the retinue and pull them out to the side. You can see they're just fighting the brigands and no one else. But at least now it looks like they are noticing our troops over here and going after them instead. Seems like the diversion tactic is actually working because now they only have 2 sets of troops right here. I wanted to go after the archers, but I'm perfectly content separating their troops and making this much more challenging for them. I'm going to send all of the retinue in right at this 1 infantry that's over here, and then we're going to push forward with everybody. And you can see that they've got all their troops right here coming back. They're bringing their retinue in, just getting lit up by all of our archers. They're hitting them from up there, which is perfect. I'm going to push forward once again with our retinues over here. I'd really love to break the mercenary infantry if I can. Okay, we broke some. We're breaking everyone. We're breaking everyone. We broke them as well. Now we take our retinue in. We broke their retinue. We broke their retinue. And all they have now is a brigands over here, and they are running away as well. That is perfect. So now all they have are their archers, who are a ways back at this point. I'm going to pull all of our troops back to try to get their archers to move forward. They did move towards us somewhat. However, it's not working exactly as I'd hoped that it would. So I'm just going to chase after them at this point. But I want to keep my retinue safe. So I'll grab everyone else and just start to chase after them. Look at that. They are running away as quickly as they can. They see what's coming their way and they're not a fan. We broke them and we're about to break these guys as well because they don't stand a chance. And now we're in hand-to-hand combat with their archers. That is exactly where we wanted to be. We broke them and we've come at these guys from the rear, and it's only a matter of time at this point. And it's a victory. We got the land. It was that easy. Hildebolt is gone. Hildebolt is gone. So with this, we've actually beat the game, and we could leave things here and be satisfied with the realm as it is, but we are not. There's more work to do, and there's more that I want to accomplish. So now we have our new region, but before we purchase our settlers camp, let's get a lay of the land and figure out the best place for it. So the resources here are relatively spread out. We've got a shoal of fish over here. It is frozen, so while this will be important early on, it won't be important right away. We've got some wild animals right here, probably our most important resource up front. We've got a small deposit of stone, a small deposit of clay, and then the star of the show, our salt deposit. And I think it's pulling the center of gravity closer to the King's Road. I'm probably going to build a settlers camp right about here. Because we have a ton of money, we're going to go for plentiful starting supplies. And because it's winter, I want to build homes as quickly as possible. Because the main focus of this region is sausage making, we're going to have lots and lots of pigs in this region. Pigs are only available as a backyard extension, and the interesting thing about the animal pen backyard extension generally is it doesn't matter how large it is, you always get 2 animals. So that's going to inform how we build our burgage plots. And what I'm thinking is we're going to have a whole bunch of single family lots that have teeny tiny backyard extensions. So something like this. It doesn't make sense to have accessory uses on this because the extra family won't increase the speed of our yields. So we'll build those 5 right up front. But I'm noticing one thing that we're gonna have to take care of before anything else. There are just a boatload of bodies right here, and this is gonna make everyone furious with us. So we're gonna build a corpse pit right away. And I don't want this to be visible, but I want the transport to be relatively quick. So I'm gonna place that back here in the woods. And we're gonna make this our highest priority and basically assign every single family to this as soon as we can. And before we unpause, there are a couple more things I want to get established. First, we're gonna need to make sure that we don't run out of wood. So I'm gonna build a logging camp right over here. The reason why I wanna build over here is we've got a lot of trees that we have to trim out anyway, so it makes sense to pull them up and use them. And then we've also got to think about our food supply. So we're going to build that hunting camp. I'm going to keep this fairly close to our homes and let the hunters walk a little bit longer. And then we also need to start to think about storage. So I'm going to build our granary right here and our storehouse right across the street from it. And with the construction of these homes, we've leveled up to level 1 and we have 1 development point available. So I'm thinking that we obviously have to go after deep mining. We don't want our salt deposit to run out, but I also want to pursue a policy I've never gone after before: advanced skinning. We will get double the amount of meat from our hunters, butchers, and the animal pen. So if you're pursuing sausage making, this one's kind of a no-brainer. So I think the first thing that we're gonna unlock is trapping, which will give us a passive income of meat as well. Another nice thing early on. And now everything has been constructed and all of the bodies appear to be gone, which is great. It means that we aren't going to suffer from all of the unhappiness that those would have brought. It also means that we can unassign all the families from the corpse pit and get to doing things that are more productive. I want to make sure that we don't run out of lumber. So we are going to assign 1 family to our logging camp. And I want to make sure that we are deforesting an area that makes sense. Next, I want to make sure that we are getting more food. So we will assign a family to our hunting camp. And then we've got a whole bunch of exposed supplies right here. So I'll assign 1 family to our granary and another to our storehouse. And with that, we have 1 unassigned family that can build things for us. I want to get our happiness above 50% so that we can start increasing our population here. So I want to build a church and maybe a well because both of those will help improve the happiness of the village. Now I know that we can build the well right away, so we will do that and we'll place that right here. And then for our church, we're going to need planks, and we currently don't have any. So we're going to have to build a saw pit, and I'll build that right here next to our logging camp. And honestly, we might as well build the rest of our logging supply chain. So I'll also build a woodcutter's lodge and a forester's hut. And now that our saw pit is available, I'm going to remove a worker from our granary and from our storehouse. We're going to assign one right here to our saw pit. And then our food supplies were dangerously low, so I think I'm going to assign one more family over to our hunting camp temporarily. Now, while we're waiting for planks to be built, I'm going to build a few more things. So I want to move this hitching post to begin. Right about here in between our King's Road and our logging camp. And I'm doing that because I think that we need to start thinking about trade. And to that end, I'm going to build a trading post right here and a livestock trading post right next to it. We need the trading post so that we can trade things away to make money to buy pigs. And we need the livestock trading post so that we can import sheep. And then additionally, it's now warm out, which means that we should start to fish. Oh, that sound is not good. The enemy unit has been spotted. I'm not sure where they are, but I hope they're not here. And unfortunately, they are coming right into this new village, which is not ideal. So we're going to need to get our troops from Leuter Flucht and bring them over here. So I'll rally 100% of them right in the middle of this village. And then I also want to see if I can get any mercenaries. And it looks like the local thugs will arrive in Leuter Flucht, which means that they'll probably arrive down here. I'm going to also get this flock of crazy geese. And it looks like they have all arrived over here, which is fantastic. So I'll look to distract the bandits with all of our hired mercenaries. And immediately they changed directions and they stopped burning down the city. And apparently all of our troops decided to let the archers get annihilated, which is not ideal. And that's more like it. We have gotten rid of them, at least the first group. And then we have more over here that are going after some of our troops. There we go. We got rid of them as well. Things are good. Things are good. And now we can disband all of these units. The other thing that we can be thankful for is that we have a corpse pit, so we can assign someone here and clean up all of the dead bodies. And now that our fishing hut is built, I'm going to assign a family here right away. And I'm going to do that because I believe that all of the bodies are now picked up and we can unassign someone from our corpse pit. And then checking in on our plank situation, we are currently halfway to where we need to be. So while we're waiting, I'm going to build some more homes. And the amount of time it took to construct these is a good reminder that we need more oxen. So before I do anything else, I'm going to build another hitching post. And as soon as that's constructed, we are going to buy another ox. But I'm noticing that we are in a really rough spot right now with fuel. And now that we have our 20 planks, I think that we have to disable our saw pit and instead start producing some firewood. And right away, we are going to order another ox. Now we're about to build the church, but there's two things that I want to do first. Number one, I just want to see how we're doing here with our fisherman's hut. This is going to freeze in short order, so I think I'm just going to remove the worker here and instead assign them over here at our hunting camp. Because we have the trapping policy, they should produce even more food. And then I also want to place a marketplace. We don't have one right now, and it is a very big need. And I'll do something relatively small. We'll have 6 stalls right here, right next to our well. Now, for our church, I'm thinking that initially we're to keep everything right on the King's Road. So I'll place this on a high point and we'll continue to spread right down towards our church. And finally, our church is complete. which has pushed our happiness above 50%, and we've had our first family move in, which is fantastic. Now, because of that, we're almost where we need to be to start purchasing backyard extensions. The one thing I want to keep in mind is what it's going to take to get us to level 2, because again, level 2 burgage plots produce regional wealth, which we can use to purchase pigs. And it looks like we're missing basically everything. The reason why we're missing it is we don't have anyone working, either our storehouse or our granary. So we'll add employees to both of those. And then the other thing that we're missing is clothing. And we're not going to have a solution there until we have a tannery. So I'm going to add one of those as well. And I'm going to place this fairly close to our hunting shack. And I actually can't because we don't have any planks. We need 6 of those. I'm going to remove a worker from our hunting camp. We'll add them over to our saw pit. And as soon as we have 6 planks, we'll build our tannery. And then we'll staff the tannery with the person working the saw pit. And thankfully, it didn't take long at all to produce those planks. So we're now at a position where we can place our tannery and get this thing constructed. And we'll add our worker here, and that should be all that we need to start to level up some of these homes. You can see that the clothing stall supply is all that is missing. And I was about to construct some animal pens, but apparently Hildebolt has decided to claim this region, which is insane. So we are going to pause momentarily, rally all of the troops. We'll also hire all of the mercenaries, and we'll rally all of them right here as well. Now, I'm going to play this at a really low speed and give my troops as much time as possible to get here, because the moment that I tell Hildebolt that we're going to war, I think he's going to show up at our borders. The other thing is, we never built a manor here, and this makes me think that this is a point of emphasis for us now. So I'm going to build our manor, and I think I'm going to place this maybe right about here. We don't have enough stone or planks for this, so we can't do that just yet. But we can get prepared, and I'll build a stone cutter's camp, and then I'll assign someone over here to our saw pit. And between the two of these, we should have the materials needed in short order to be able to build our manor. And they're quite a long ways away, but Hildebolt is about to claim this area, so I'm going to resolve the claim on the battlefield. I'm also going to pause this for just a moment. I think there's an opportunity to draw another road to potentially shorten the path here. So I've added a couple there, and we'll see what happens. But over here, you can see that Hildebolt indeed has some troops coming our way, though it doesn't seem like that many. And Hildebolt will make it worth our while and give us 449 gold if we drop our claims. That is absolutely crazy. So because he's coming at us with so little, I'll try to get organized as quickly as possible and try to run them straight out of here. And I'm hoping that that is going to be a good strategy for us. And they're spawning quickly now. Now I'm a little more uneasy than I was before. So I think I'm going to try to just post up here and stop. And I'll take the brigands and send them this way, because he's going to try to loop around and get all of our crossbowmen. Now, unfortunately, right now, we currently have fewer troops. So we are at a disadvantage as of right now. Now, I'm going to try to push forward straight into their troops. And it appears that our crossbow militia is not doing quite as much as I thought that it would. I'm going to bring them closer because we're being hit, but they are not. Okay, we're breaking them. We're breaking them. That's fantastic. I did not expect that to happen. We're also losing a ton of troops. Now I'm bringing the crossbowmen closer, and we have other troops that are coming. Oh, that's the same crossbow militia. So there we go. We're breaking them. We're breaking them. That's fantastic. Now we'll take the rest of our troops and go right towards their retinue. And we broke their retinue. That is fantastic. So now all that they have remaining are their crossbowmen, and hopefully we can get rid of them fairly quickly as well. And no problem, we got rid of them in short order. Now, unfortunately, we need to take one of our workers and assign them to the corpse pit. So we'll do that. And unfortunately, that means that we are likely removing someone from our saw pit, at least temporarily. And then I want to take all of these troops, and we're just going to back up. While we were waiting, we got another message from Hildebolt. He will make it worth our while if we drop all of our claims. 281 gold. That is legitimately insane. But that means to me that he's likely going to attack us in short order once again. But at this point, all the bodies have been cleaned up, so I'm going to take the families that we had assigned there, remove them, and those 2 families should be able to get us where we need to be with stone cutting and with the saw pit. Now, additionally, I think that we should probably increase the size of our granary and our storehouse. They're going to be filling up in short order. So as soon as we have the planks for this, we're going to do it. And while we were waiting, Hildebolt has come, and he's got a whole bunch of troops once again. But here's the thing. we've got a whole bunch of troops too. They're just disorganized. So let's get them organized, and we will look to simply overwhelm them. And we had one of our crossbow militia that decided to go in for melee combat. Thankfully, the brigands disbanded, and now it looks like we should be in a pretty good place to completely annihilate Hildebolt. And we broke their retinue. At this point, all we have is their archers. And they are gone as well. 21 days and our war with Hildebolt is done. And until then, we continue to wait. We make sure that we pick up the dead bodies, or else everyone will get very unhappy. And our war is almost done. And at this point, I'm wondering, is there anything that I can upgrade? And it looks like literally everything. So we're going to upgrade all of our homes. And we won the battle, which is fantastic. Hildebolt is gone. We've gotten rid of him. And with that, we've reached our next settlement level, which is fantastic. It means that we get another development point, and we are going to need this. I'm going to unlock advanced skinning right away. This will give us even more meat, which is going to be so incredibly helpful right away and into the future. Now, that new policy makes it really attractive to pursue producing as much meat as possible, but we can't forget about the manor, and these are related. And that's because to add a backyard extension for an animal pen, we're going to use 2 planks. And to build our manor, which we absolutely need to build, we've got 2 ores today, we need 20 planks. So I think that we should pump the brakes on anything related to animal pens until we build our manor. And honestly, we're not that far away. Now, one thing to keep in mind is I want to build a garrison tower, so we're going to have more than the 20 planks it recommends. We probably want something like 30, 35, 40. So I'm going to go over to our saw pit. We will set a production limit of, let's say, 40, and then I want to crank our logging camp production. And once we have, say, 50 timber and 40 planks, we'll begin constructing our manor. Now, I wanted to keep this rolling, but we're running out of fuel, which is a huge problem. So I'm going to attempt to build the manor. I think I'm going to place that right about here, and then we're going to switch gears to producing lots of firewood. And just like we did with our other manors, we'll add our garrison tower. And thankfully, we do have the construction materials to produce this. And while that's being built, we'll just remove someone from our logging camp and add them back over to our woodcutter's lodge. And that didn't take long at all to build, but one of the oddities here is that our garrison tower is inside of a tree. It looks kind of like a tree house right now. So I'm going to try to fix that by taking our logging camp, and we'll limit their work area to right about here. But obviously, the real reason that we built this manor is the retinue, so we better fully stock them right away. And bluntly, with our 4th fully stocked retinue, I feel really good about our chances in any battle. Next, we have 2 priorities. The first is going to be to build more burgage plots. We're currently completely out of available living space, and as a result, the growth of our community is completely stagnated. And we need a lot more workers. We need workers to work our salt mine, we need a couple of butchers, and we're going to need people to work in our clay pit, so we've got a lot of population need. Second, I want to start to add as many of our animal pens as possible. Now that's going to cost us a lot of money, which means that we need to start trading things. Another reason that we need more population. So as a result, I'm going to continue to build along our King's Road, and we'll build 6 more burgage plots right here. I'm going to build a couple more right here as well, and I'm going to consider these the homes for our artisans. And then because I can't stop and won't stop, I'm going to continue building burgage plots. We'll build a couple more right here as lumber becomes available. Now that all of our burgage plots are constructed, I'm going to add animal pens to every single home except for these 2 right here. And I decided to adjust my strategy just a little bit. We are going to have chicken coops for these 4 burgage plots up here, and that's for the sake of food diversity. Now all of our animal pens have been built, and we need to start earning money so that we can fill them up. So to do that, I want to start constructing our mines. So this mine right here for our clay deposit is one that I want to pursue rapidly so we can deplete it. And then I'm going to build 2 mines on our rich deposit right here. And we're doing that because once we unlock deep mining, we'll be able to mine these indefinitely and trade away our salt, which will be incredibly valuable for this region. And then the other thing that I noticed is our stone deposit's now gone. So I'm going to eliminate the stonecutters camp, and that gives us 1 more family that we can assign to some other job. And now that all of these are complete, we can start to assign some workers here. So I'm going to assign 4 right off the bat to this mining pit so that we can empty this as quickly as possible. That'll leave us with 2 additional families that we can assign, or actually 1. We want to leave 1 family unassigned. And I can see that we're having some major problems with food. So I think that we're going to assign 1 additional family over to our hunting camp. But I'm also noticing that we've got 20 wild animals, or 19 over here, and I'm not sure if that's our hunting camp location or the fact that we've only had 1 family there. So I'm going to keep an eye on this for just a minute to see if our food situation improves and see if we start hunting some of these wild animals. And if we're not, we'll relocate this thing. And it's interesting. I see people hunting, but I just don't see it happening very quickly. So I am going to relocate this, and we'll bring it considerably closer to our wild animals. Now, interestingly, it seems like a whole bunch of hunting just took place, but either way, this should be a little bit better. Shortens that distance between the deposit and the hunting camp. And this is not good. We are currently completely out of food. I'm really hoping that the hunters start bringing some meat home. It's looking like things are getting a little better, but oh my goodness, that got a little bit too close for comfort. Now, I don't want that to happen again, and our pond is about to thaw, so I will assign 1 of these families over to our fisherman's hut, and as soon as the pond thaws, we'll start to get some fish. Now it's finally March, the pond has thawed, we have tons of fish in here, we have a 1 month supply of food, and I've assigned every single available family to work at the fisherman's hut. So we aren't starving, we're starting to put a little bit of food away, but this just drives home the point that we probably need to start thinking about some of our animals. So I'm going to add pigs behind as many of these as I can. And now we really need to think about upgrading as many of our burgage plots to level 2 as possible. And it looks like we're just logs away. So that means that we need to stop producing planks and firewood. And we also need to change our work area away from our manor and set it back into the woods. And presumably we'll have enough lumber to upgrade some of these in short order, and indeed we do. All we needed was 2 timber. And that was critical. And that gives us our new development point. It levels up the city, and that's going to be very important for us because we need 2 more development points if we want deep mining. So obviously we're going to pursue charcoal burning next. And this will be helpful anyway because we are currently really low on wood. So having charcoal burning will turn 1 firewood into 2 charcoal. Does double duty. It's always a good thing to unlock. Now for that next development point, we've got a lot to do. We need 2 more level 2 burgage plots and 3 level 3 burgage plots, which honestly is going to be quite the lift. That's because to get to level 3, we need to have tavern supply. We also need a better church. We need 1 more type of food, which is why we have eggs now. And we need another source of clothing, shoes, clothes, or cloaks. I think we'll try to produce additional clothing locally, but we're going to try to import beer from our main city. I want to level up this burgage plot right here, and we'll turn this into a cobbler. And while that's being built, we absolutely have to build a charcoal kiln. Additionally, we have a whole bunch of clay right now, and we need clay roof tiles for our level 3 buildings as well as our upgraded church. So I think it only makes sense to add on a little bit right here and build a clay furnace. And now that these are constructed, I will assign 1 worker to our charcoal kiln, and I'm going to load up our clay furnace. And I can do that because it looks like our clay deposit's gone now. So I will just demolish this and add 5 workers here. And reasonably, we're going to demolish this too, as soon as we convert all of that clay into roof tiles. And now we get to the exciting stuff, our first artisans. So we're going to convert this burgage plot to be a cobbler's workshop, and then we're going to upgrade this home to level 2 and make this our butcher. So now that our cobbler's shop is ready, I just want to make sure that we have some limit here. So I'll say that as long as we have 25 shoes, we'll stop producing them. Now, additionally, I want to take this burgage plot. We're going to upgrade this to a butcher shop. Now, unfortunately, because this is an artisan, we lose one of our families that we could normally have unassigned. So I'm going to need to take someone from our clay furnace, remove them, and that will leave us the worker to build our butcher shop. Oh my goodness, we have an enemy and they are about to loot us. So I had to pause real quick as we take our retinue here and we'll rally the troops. Now, additionally, I want to see if there are any mercenaries that we can hire, and I'm guessing their green caps and the flock of crazy geese will be at our beck and call. And you can see that they are right here. That is perfect. They're turning around. They're not going to burn down our village. Wonderful. Now, unfortunately, it looks like some of our archers have decided to come in for melee combat, but I mean, reasonably, these brigands are not very big. We should be able to take them out with our mercenaries. We still have our retinue coming here, and they're very slow. They have a lot of armor. And I would not want to be there, and they don't either. Goodbye, Raiders. It's been great knowing you. Now we can disband everybody. Now, unfortunately, this means that we have to have one family assigned to our corpse pit. And we already have one. I forgot one over there, which I guess isn't a bad thing. So they'll clean this up and we won't get unhappiness. Now, while all of that craziness was going on, our butcher shop was completed and we are now producing sausages, which is outstanding. So I'm going to say that we want to have a production limit of, let's say, 100 sausages for the time being. And we'll want to keep at least 50 meat on hand, as well as 50 salt. Now, interestingly, it looks like we could also craft meat here if we have carcasses. Now, I'm not 100% sure how to get carcasses. I want to click on this though real quick. Sheep and lambs. Oh my goodness. So with that being the case, we absolutely want to start producing some sheep and lamb as well. But that's going to have to come in a little while because I really want to make sure that we get our next development point. We're now actively using our salt and we're going to need to make sure that we never run out. So we're going to need to get 3 level 3 burgage plots. Now for that, we've got to take a look at something like this, make sure that we've got tavern supply, a better church, and more clothing. We're working on the clothing because we now have our cobbler's shop and we can upgrade our church so long as we have 16 planks. Right now we only have 5. So I'm going to add a worker right here. And now with our saw pit producing, we should have the planks needed in no time to build our church. And indeed, in about 20 seconds flat, we have all the materials needed to upgrade our church. Now, while this is going on, we need to figure out how we can start to get beer flowing here. So the first thing that we're going to do is build a small tavern. And I'm going to try to keep that relatively centrally located. So I'll place this right here, right next to our well. And while these are being built, we need to start to figure out trading to this region. So there are 2 things that I think that we could potentially trade. We could trade salt or we could trade leather because I know that we've got a ton of it. I think to begin, we will start with leather and we'll trade back beer. Now, just like our other regions, we're gonna have our pack stations here in Leuter Flucht, but here's the problem. We don't have any workers. I think for the time being, I'm gonna steal a couple from this farmhouse right here. And I believe that we have one at this small church. We'll steal this one as well. That'll give us 3 workers. And I care about that because we're gonna build 2 pack stations. So I think that we've gotta also think about expanding our living space over here. And I think I'll build that new housing right back here. Now, while this is being built, we're also gonna build our pack stations. And I'll plan on having 3 to serve this region. So now we have our 3 pack stations and we're gonna need some mules. Since each of these can have 2 mules, I just need to order 6 more. So at our trading post, I'll increase our number of mules to 26. Now, while we're waiting for that to happen, I'm going to set up these trades and assign some employees. So at our first pack station, we're going to send over ale, and in return, I'm going to take salt. That's not a terrible trade, at least it's even. At our second one, we're going to send over meat. And again, we're going to receive salt. That's also not a bad trade. At least it's an even number. And then for our final pack station, we're going to trade bread. And once again, we're going to trade for salt. That's a 1-for-1 trade, which is fantastic. Now, the whole reason I've decided to trade salt for everything instead of clay roof tiles like I was initially thinking is now we can just have one trade route established here in Leuter Flucht to get rid of all of this salt. So it'll make trading very simple. So let's go ahead and get this trade established and we'll export all of our salt. Now back here at Altbruch, we actually haven't been mining salt. I completely forgot to assign workers here. So we'll assign one to each of the mines. And then now I'm going to take a look at this clay furnace. It is not quite as important as it was to us before. So I'll take this down to just one family and we'll put 3 more over here. We need salt so that we can trade. And right now we only have 1 month of fuel and 2 months of food. So this trade is going to be really important for our food. As far as our fuel goes, I'm going to actually take one person away from that mining pit and let's see if we can't figure this out. Yeah, we need one person here at our woodcutter's lodge. We can disable the saw pit. And our charcoal kiln is already going. As far as our logging camp is going, I'll increase this work area, but at this point, we absolutely must add someone to our forester's hut, and we'll start reforesting this area. And now, for better or for worse, it's a waiting game. Right now, we are very close to being able to upgrade both of these to level 3. We just need that beer. So we're gonna sit tight, and as soon as we can, we're gonna upgrade all of these buildings. Now, I've let a few months go by and I've noticed that our food supplies have been increasing, and that means that our trades are working. Now, I'm also guessing that we have some ale. We do. So in theory, we should begin to start leveling up some of these buildings to level 3 the moment that we have a bartender. And indeed, this building right here, as well as this one, all they need is a bit of ale and we can level these up to level 3, our first level 3 buildings in this settlement. Now, I am reluctant to reassign our workers outside of one. I believe that we have someone working our corpse pit. I will take them away. You will go from being a gravedigger to a bartender. Now, at the same time, we need even more families. We need more people working at our storehouse and at our granary. And I really think that we need to start working our trading post as well. So because of that, I'm going to build a few more homes right here. These are where our most advanced buildings are. So I'm guessing that if we were to build new buildings right here, they would level up relatively quickly as well. And would you look at that? We have 2 that can level up. So we're going to level up our butcher shop and we'll also level up this one right here. And with that, we're only 1 level 3 building away from reaching our next level. And we have another family that moved in. So I'm going to take this family. We're going to assign them to the trading post. And then I think that we're likely going to trade away salt. We still have a bit, and honestly, it's worth a lot. So to that end, we're going to export any salt that we have above 50. And I waited just a couple minutes till we had 25 regional wealth so that we could upgrade our cobbler's workshop. And we now have it, so let's do it. And look at that, we've reached the next settlement level, which is exactly what we needed. That means that we can unlock deep mining, which means that we have unlimited salt in this region. Now, to get to our next level, we would have to have 3 more level 2 burgage plots and 7 more level 3. Now, ultimately, I think that we actually want to get there because that would help us unlock sheep breeding. And if we had sheep breeding, we could have a whole bunch of sheep farms, and that would give us basically unlimited meat. And honestly, I think that we're closer to being able to do this than you might realize, because if we take a look at this building right here, for instance, our biggest limiting factor is planks, which is pretty basic. So I think that we are going to unlock this, start producing planks once again, and then we need to have even more burgage plots because we need to be able to have a whole bunch of people working our storehouse and our granary. Because if we look over here, our limiting factor are things that we already have, things like food, things like fuel and water. So we'll also upgrade our well. And then I'm going to add a number of burgage plots over here, something like 8. And once these are constructed, we should be able to fully staff both our storehouse and our granary, which is going to go a long way towards upgrading all the rest of the buildings. And while we were waiting, 2 of these buildings became eligible to upgrade, so we will upgrade these and any others that come up. And that was really exciting. That was our final level 3 building that we needed to be able to level up. And it was honestly really easy to get there. All we had to do was wait for planks. So because we have that, I'm now going to unlock sheep breeding. And now we know exactly what we have to do. First things first, we've got to make sure that we build our deep mines. If we don't build those, we're going to run out of salt. And right now, salt is the whole reason that our economy is doing well. So I'll upgrade this one to deep mine and this one as well. And now I want to build some sheep farms. So we'll build our first one right here, and I'll tuck the pasture right behind it. And this will be absolutely massive. We can have a capacity for up to 77 sheep here. And I'll build one more back here as well. And this will have space for 85 sheep. And now that our mines are constructed and our farms are done, it's time to import some animals. So I'm going to assign one family to the livestock trading post, and we'll begin to import lambs. And I want to import lambs because they're cheaper than the sheep. And I'll begin with just 4. Now with those 4 lamb that we're importing, we're going to need to make sure that we have 80 regional wealth available. But I think that we should probably spend down the rest and have a whole bunch of pigs at all these homes. And then now that we have sheep ordered, we want to make sure that we have some folks working at the sheep farm. So I'm going to assign 2 right here, and then I'll turn off the other sheep farm. And then for our final couple of families, it looks like we are running low on fuel. So I'm going to assign one family to our charcoal kiln and another to our woodcutter's lodge. And then finally, we need one more butcher. So I'll upgrade this burgage plot, and I'm going to see if any others can be upgraded. They can. So we'll get those upgraded as well. And the purpose of this butcher shop is going to be to produce meat from our sheep and lambs. And I'm going to make sure that we have at least 20 lambs and 20 sheep available. I don't want to go any lower than that. So we won't produce any meat for quite some time. And if we take a look over at our field, we have our first sheep. It's actually our first couple of sheep. So I'm going to let them breed for a while, let things fill in, and see where we shake out with all of our sausage. Now at this point in this village, it's kind of a waiting game, but things are moving in the right direction. We now have 13 months of food on hand, and if we take a look over here at our food, we've got 125 meat and 98 sausages. So we've got a bottleneck with our sausages, so I'm going to add another butcher or 2. And it looks like until I have at least one more tool, we're only going to have one more butcher shop. But honestly, it's probably for the best. We only have 2 unassigned families right now. Now, for this butcher shop, we will be focusing on production of sausages. I'm going to remove the sausage limit. So we'll just have unlimited sausages. And then in addition to that, I want to completely uncap our production. So I will enable this sheep farm. We'll have 2 families working this. And then I'm going to drop this one down to just 2. Now, over time, the number of sheep that we have is going to increase, and they'll eventually fill up this field. But honestly, I don't have any clue how long it's going to take to get there. It's probably going to be quite some time. But thankfully, we've got pigs in the back of every single one of these burgage plots, so I think we're going to be just fine on meat for quite some time. And because of that, I want to modify one of our trains over here in Leuter Flucht. We're going to take our bread for salt trade and turn it into a bread for sausage trade. That is again a 1-for-1 trade, which is fantastic. And this will be how we distribute sausage throughout the entire realm. And I'm glad that I noticed this. It looks like my math is a little bit suspect and we don't have any horses here. So we'll make sure that we're importing 2 more. And with that, this village should be in a place where we continue to produce more and more and more sausages. Now we could leave this alone, but there's one more thing that I want to do. I want to build another marketplace. And that's because most of these burgage plots are missing food. And by building this large market right here, we should have a bunch of new market stalls, considering there just wasn't space for most of them at this granary and at this storehouse. And indeed, this little market is hopping, and my guess is, yeah, that means that we could upgrade basically every single house over here, which you better believe we're gonna do. And we're completely out of planks, so I think this is the perfect time to take a look at Earlhart and see how many people moved into that village. And my goodness, we have 33 families that are unassigned, and they are going to be assigned immediately. We're also going to need to start trading because we are running out of food over here, so it's good that we swung by. And after once again going through every single home and every single workplace, I was able to assign everyone to a workplace close to their home, and this place is now complete. We have no available living space and only 2 unassigned families. So this place is going to work just fine. And then the final thing I want to take a look at over here is trade, because we have a ton of money and not all that much food. So I'm going to import bread until we have at least 50 in stock. And I'll do the exact same thing with eggs and berries. And that will at least give us a bit of buffer, albeit at a very, very high cost. Back over here in Altbruch, we're in kind of an interesting spot. We could just wait for all of our pastures to fill in with sheep, but I'm not really satisfied with that. I want these pastures to be filled in before we end things today. I think that I'm going to try to import as many lamb as possible. Now we have a total pasture size of 161 between all of these, so I'm going to go to our livestock trading post and import up to 161. The other thing that would be helpful would be having more employees at our livestock trading post. So to that end, we're going to get rid of this clay furnace. At this point, we're totally out of clay, so we just have an employee here doing nothing. Goodbye, friend. You now work at the livestock trading post. And we're going to need lots of money, and there are 2 things that we can do there. First is I want to go into our trading post and make sure that we have some really specific trade routes established. First, I want to make sure that we are exporting wool. Anything above 50 will go out the door, and I'm going to buy this trade route. I also want to take a look at salt, and we're going to establish a dedicated trade route for that as well. And then finally, I'm going to spend the big bucks and unlock a trade route for leather. Because of our policies, we just have a ton of it. And then secondly, if we upgrade all of these homes to level 2, they'll start to generate regional wealth. And if we can upgrade any to level 3, we'll get an additional family. So I want to upgrade as many of these as I can. Now, our limiting factor there is going to be planks. So I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to remove 1 family from our logging camp and add 1 over to our saw pit. And then I'm going to uncork this for a while. And we'll produce as many planks as possible. And then finally, we have our butcher shop right here. I'm going to produce sausages here so that we're not converting any of our sheep to meat inadvertently. We'll configure this at the end. And with that, the waiting game begins. Now, months have gone by and a lot has changed. I've upgraded every single house through this entire area. We've actually upgraded a number of them to level 3 and got a number of new families in the region, which has caused our city to level up to large town. Now, this was fantastic because it allowed me to unlock advanced pond keeping, so now the pond is valuable year round. Now, the thing that's crazy though, is even though we have a ton of money, we're just not importing our lamb very fast. So what I'm thinking we're gonna do is open up 2 more livestock trading posts temporarily and try to really supercharge this. I'm gonna place these right at the edge of the map. And then just like I've done with the original trading post, I'm gonna max out the number of employees that we have here. And after literal years, our pastures are finally completely full. So we've got 161 sheep and lamb combined, and we need to start processing them. But I've got a couple of thoughts here. So we will switch this butcher shop over to a meat production focus. I want to make sure that we're not slaughtering lambs. So we're going to say that we have to have 500 before we are willing to slaughter them. For sheep, I want to keep this very, very full. We're selling a whole bunch of wool right now. I think that's a benefit to us. So we're going to try to make sure that we're not slaughtering until we're completely full of sheep. We'll end up having too many because of all of our lambs, and we'll be slaughtering them at that point in time. Actually, I should set this a little bit lower because that's so maybe 150. But I also know that we have a ton of money here now, and we have this infrastructure to import sheep, and I think I want to do that. So I'm going to stop importing lambs and instead import sheep. And we'll set this to be that 151 that we just set over at our butcher shop. For the time being, it means that we're going to import a ton of sheep, which is completely fine. Now, to go along with that, I'm going to get rid of these 2 livestock trading posts. We just don't need those anymore. And I'm going to make one change with our salt mine. We're going to add a ton of workers. And then finally, I want to build some salt storage over here. I think that we would really benefit from that, and our generic storage is currently full. And then I'm going to go ahead and assign 1 worker here, and then only allow salt to be stored here. And I'm also going to build 1 overflow pasture. This is really only going to be necessary now while we have a whole bunch of lamb. In the future, we can probably get rid of this. But for now, we absolutely have to have this. Otherwise, we're going to have sheep running away. And this new field already has 17 livestock in it. Honestly, it kind of feels like we uncorked lambs at this point because there's a ton of them. We're importing a ton of them. Things are really flying around the map. And what that means for us is that in short order, we're going to have a gigantic slaughter and a ton of sausage. Now, that's not going to happen until we have 150 sheep. We're getting very close to that. But right now, we still have 87 lamb. And that is why we continue to have more and more sheep and lamb in this field. We'll have to keep an eye on this. And in the next one, we're absolutely going to check in and see how we're doing with our sausage production. But for today, I think that we're going to leave it here because I'm really satisfied with where things have ended up. We have an absolute juggernaut in terms of sausage production, an absolute juggernaut in terms of wheat production, and we have a city that needs to be urbanized, Leuter Flucht, and that is what we're going to be taking on in the next one. But until then, we're going to leave it here, and I really hope that you've enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I want to thank you so much for your time today. There's a million things that you could have been doing. You decided to hang out with me and make a bunch of sausage. And for that, I appreciate you and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.